Thank you. I start looking around and people are looking at me like, really? Really? Like, all right, so before I get started, I want to give a big shout out to Sandy. First of all, that was an awesome story, and I actually just came across your art organically like a few days ago. You're an absolute master at what you do. I'd love to find a way to work together, so big shout out to you. Honestly, it's great stuff. And on brand too, there's no back button, so I can't really fuck this up, hopefully. So we'll see. So whenever you give talks, the first thing people tell you is to start with a quote or a picture, something that will give you or give the audience a little inkling into what sort of messages that you're going to give, or something that's going to kind of highlight the overall lessons that you're trying to teach. But I'm just going to kind of cut to the chase and give it to you up front. So the two main things that I want you guys to take out of this talk, for me, that really changed my life, is number one, everything happens for a reason, okay? So I know you've probably heard this a lot, but I truly, truly believe it more than anything on this planet. Every single thing happens for a reason. So everybody sitting here has gone through some shit. There's no doubt, some worse than others. But at the end of the day, everything that you've gone through has led you to where you're at today. And let's get real, if you're sitting in this audience right now, life is pretty good. You know, you got a roof on your head, you're coming here to see entrepreneurs tell their stories, like things are going pretty well. And number two is that only you have the power to change absolutely anything going on in your life, okay? So to avoid these things sounding cliche, I'm gonna go into the whole story and kind of tell you guys what this is all about, but I wanted to start with that, so hopefully now you still pay attention throughout the rest of the talk. Didn't give away too much. So the funny thing about this story is that it starts from the beginning. And when I'm talking about the beginning, I'm talking about the beginning of my, I guess, foray into the business world. So for me, this was the times when I had no idea that there was any sort of business behind apps. I used to think that apps were just these little toys that were on your phone and it would help you with your reminders, and you know, Apple made all of them and there was no real business behind any of this. Okay, my entire life revolved around going to Phil's on Wednesday or Sunday, whatever was going on, and it was pretty much if I could get, you know, $2 together, I was living the dream. Things were good. But the best part about the beginning is that it's when your life goes from this, yeah, I'm definitely Batman for sure. But it's when your life goes from this to this, and I'm sure there's a lot of people here that can relate to this right now. This is my life on a day-to-day basis. All right, so I don't think it's all bad though, because at the end of the day, all of these horrible things and this monumentous fuck up that I'm about to tell you guys about all led me to where I am today. And if we're being honest, I'm very proud about where I am today. I'm the proud CEO of truLOCAL. I have amazing friends, family, my lovely girlfriend's here with me tonight. I have no idea how this just went back. I already fucked up. It said there's no back button. So anyway, yeah, so all said and done, you know, everything has led me to where I'm at today, and I feel like I'm in a great spot. I'm very happy with where I'm at today, and this fuck up has led me to where I am today. So I'm gonna tell you guys a story about how I completely fucked up. So, show of hands here, who has ever heard of the app Tell? Right, case and point. Case and point. Okay, Tell, instant messaging app. Awesome app. It is an instant messaging app that would allow you to send messages to people, and as soon as they open that message, the message would be deleted. Sound familiar? The cool thing on this is that we also had a deadline feature, so pretty much if you wanted to send a message, let's say you put a 4-hour timer, and if the person didn't open it within those 4 hours, then what would end up happening is they would never get the message in the first place. Right. So we would market it as, you know, awesome for event planning, stuff like that, but like, let's get real. People are using it at like 2 o'clock at the bar, send a message for like half an hour, nobody opens it, and everything's good to go. So that's Tell. So the funny thing about Tell is that Tell was 100% inspired by Snapchat, obviously. And like I told you, this whole story starts at the beginning, and for me, I had no idea that there was a business behind apps. I didn't understand that until I heard that Snapchat got offered $3 billion by Facebook. So I don't know if you guys remember when that happened. I definitely remember when that happened because I couldn't even conceptualize what $1 million was, let alone this toy. Like, this is a toy with a ghost on it, right? Like, this is for kids to send pictures to one another. Like, this doesn't make any sense to me. How is this worth $3 billion? Well, anyway, that got my ears puckered up, and I immediately decided that, you know, my degree in health was no good anymore, and I had to go into business. So me and my 3 roommates decided that we were going to build an app. And we decided that we should take whatever was left over from our OSAT money and put it together, which was like 10,000 between all of us. And in 3 months, it'd be the summer and we'd be millionaires by the summer. It was perfect, right? Because it's an app, it's a toy, like it sends messages. It can't be that complex. So that's the story of Tell. Now, we were fucked from the get-go for a lot of reasons. Like so many reasons. But number one, we're 4 friends that have decided to split a business equally, 25, 25, 25, 25, and none of us have any skills or experience whatsoever, like 0, okay? So we were fucked for that reason. But if we're being completely and totally honest, we were fucked for another reason. And to my happiness at the time, out of our merry band of men, we decided to nominate me as the fearless CEO of our 4-person enterprise that had minus $50 in the bank account. It was exciting. So I was probably 20 at this point, and I was trying to find words to describe what type of leader I was at this age, and I couldn't, but I found a really good image that really described what type of leader I was. I was a fucking psychopath. I was crazy, okay? I was 20 years old, and all I wanted was everything to be done my way. I loved to yell. I loved things to be done perfectly, but perfect to my standards. I could do no wrong. And albeit, I've never taken any strippers and tied them up in my bedroom and shot them with a crossbow, but I've done a lot of fucked up shit, okay? So, despite all this, once again, the reason that we were fucked up was because we had 4 people who had absolutely no experience trying to start a business. And that's not to say that you need experience to start a business. I am where I'm at today because I had no experience. I think everyone's gonna start somewhere with no experience, but it was really because of the leadership, okay? I had no interest in nurturing, I had no interest in teaching, I had no interest in any of that type of stuff. I wanted everything done my way or the highway. So despite all these issues though, surprisingly, things weren't going that bad. What can I say about Tell? We did some cool shit. We got featured in BetaKit somehow. We got our app developed also somehow. We got our first users, We threw a launch party. There was free alcohol. That's awesome. You probably all would have come. So things were going actually pretty good. Like, it wasn't as bad as you would think. And of course, throughout this entire process, being the tyrannical CEO that I was at the time, and not understanding and not taking advice and listening and trying to mold and develop a team instead of just trying to dictate and do things my way, I remember the biggest challenge we had was getting the app developed. And of course, not having any experience, we found a developer on Kijiji. So for those of you that know, this guy wasn't a developer. He was the guy who knew the developer, who knew the guys in India that would then relay the information back to us. And I remember it was sketchy when he told us to meet us at his office, and his office was like, not a shared workspace, like a chair in an office. He's like, hello, how are things going? It was bad anyway. I'm not gonna get into that too much. But as things were going, once again, relatively well, we had a meeting with this guy, this Kijiji guy, and I demanded access to everything, okay? And that's what I wanted. I wanted access to the Facebook account. I wanted access to the database. I wanted access to pretty much anything I could get access to. And if you have any experience now, you know that you do not need access to everything, okay? Especially if you're not technical. Why do you need access to the database if you're not technical? But I wanted it. I just wanted to be in control. You relate to that? So one night, we actually got this launched. We had pitched some investors, got no money, but we had traction, we had users. Things were starting to buzz a little around in Waterloo, and that's a testament to the community here in Waterloo because the app was kind of shoddy, but people were just supporting us either way. So one late night, I decided to log in to the database. And now for anybody here who's technical, please don't grill me on my horrible terminology of all this stuff, but I'm fairly certain it was called parse. Does that make sense? Anybody here? Yes, nodding of heads. Okay, good. So parse. I logged into parse and was just messing around for no damn reason. I was just on there, messing around, just clicking on shit, because I thought, why not? This is what CEOs do. And I'm going through the users at like 11 o'clock at night, and I start seeing duplicate users. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do something good here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start deleting some of these duplicate users. Why not? I will never forget when I selected a user and I clicked delete. And then the big old square came up that said, are you sure you want to delete? And I clicked yes, I want to delete. And the screen went blank. This was hands down one of the lowest points of my life when I deleted all of our users, every single user that we had worked for. And if you know anything about an instant messaging app, you're pretty fucked without your users. It's not good. These are bad, bad, bad times. So, needless to say, Tel was over after that. That was the end of Tel. So if anybody here had heard of Tel, it's OG status. But I got so mad, I'm so mad. I'm the guy, I'm the CEO of, once again, this little company, this little enterprise. I do no wrong, it's everybody else's fault. It's never my fault. How could I do this? How could I fuck this up? That's not me. So I got so mad, so mad. Anybody here can relate to that. If you feel like you're a perfectionist, more like you probably think you're a perfectionist, but if you like to think that you're a perfectionist, you get so mad about this type of stuff. And I was super mad because I felt like life slapped me in the face. I really felt like that. Life slapped me in the face like the little bitch that I was, except for the fact that life didn't slap me in the face at all. Life did not slap me in the face. I slapped myself in the face. It was me. I fucked up. And this one's very literal. I literally clicked the fucking button. I fucked up. But I had a lot of friends trying to kind of console me and be like, oh, it's not your fault. They didn't teach you how to use it, blah, blah, blah. Fuck that. I fucked this up. This was my fault. So, like I said, needless to say, that was the end of Tel. Got bitch slapped in the face by myself. It's better when he does it. But what did I learn? So, what did I learn? First of all, there's an entire sidebar conversation here to be had about what it's like to fail in your first startup. Everyone should do it. Everyone, and if you haven't, you're probably lying, but everybody should fail in their first startup because you learn amazing things. Going through this entire process, I learned how to not interact with people. I learned how to reach out to the media. We had no technical experience, but we learned how to get an app built, right? We learned how to put our first Facebook ads together. So it was an amazing experience, and if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be where I am today. Because when I started truLOCAL, trust me, I didn't make the same mistakes that I did when I did Tel. So when I looked at it, everything happens for a reason, and I'm very, very sorry, Steve Jobs. I know that you have this amazing talk about connecting the dots and seeing in the past, but the first time I heard this was from my mom. So my mom used to always tell me that everything happens for a reason. And when you're young, you don't really get that. But now I can honestly say that I truly, truly, truly believe every single thing in your life happens for a reason, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I feel that if you are in any way, shape, or form content about where you are in life, and there's a huge difference between being content, being happy, and being successful, okay? You can't, it's not a spectrum. You can be content and not be happy. You can be happy and not be successful. So if you're just content, you're alive, you're warm right now, right? You live in Kitchener, you're paying your rent, sometimes, right? You are a product of every single thing that has ever happened to you. And if you're content about where you're at today, you can never look back on the bad things that have happened and say, I wish those didn't happen, or I wish I did something differently. You can never do that. And everything you're going through right now is gonna lead you to where you're going. I'm a huge believer, and I don't even know how to articulate it. I don't think it's destiny, and I don't think it's any of that type of stuff, but I'm a huge believer that if you put the energy out to where you wanna go in the world, you will eventually get there. So therefore, all the shit that you're going through right now is part of what's gonna get you to where you go. And it's very, very difficult to see that as it's happening. But when you look back on stuff like this, when I fucking deleted all of our users, there's no one that could explain to me that that was all part of the plan. No, it wasn't part of the fucking plan at all. So I learned that with Tel, and then as I was going through that, I learned something else. So I learned that only you can change your life. So going through this and trying to place the blame, I see it all the time in the world. And I know it's difficult, but you see it a lot, victim personalities. I am a huge believer that you can make any change you want to have happen in your life, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. The second that you let go and you stop blaming the world and other people for things that are happening to you, you become the most powerful person on the planet. Nobody can stop you. Because anything that you have going on in your life, you can change at any point in time. So So something that I literally live my life by every single day are these 2 rules, that everything happens for a reason, and if I'm not happy about where I'm at now, I'm gonna fucking change it. So, with that being said, it's not always a bad thing if you delete all your users. Everything happens for a reason, and you can change your life. I can truly and honestly say that every day I wake up right now feeling great. And I wanna be very clear, this doesn't mean I wake up fucking happy. Like, I wake up most of the time, I run a business, man. I wake up every day miserable. Like, for being honest, like every day is some sort of challenge. But at the end of the day, I truly do feel like I wake up feeling like Thanos. You guys seen this movie where he pulls the damn Infinity Stone of the guy's head and he's like, puts it in there and he wakes up feeling like a champ? I honestly feel like that, even if I'm having a bad day, but it never would have felt like this if I didn't bitch slap myself in the face. So thank you, that's my story.
Questions for Marc, and did everyone else feel that anguish when he was just about to hit the button?
Thank you. What would you say led you to these realizations? Like, what kind of work and self-reflection did you do to get to this place where you are now?
Yeah, so for everything happens for a reason, people always say you kind of get these hard lessons through a crisis. Actually, everything happens for a reason. I started understanding that when good things started happening. So I was playing football for a little while in university and I got injured. And if I didn't get injured, I would have kept playing. If I did get injured, I ended up starting my business career. Things like that. And that's an example I can think of off the top of my head, but it happens all the time. Do you choose the left way or the right way? Like left or right? And you think that the choice that you've chosen could be a horrible sort of thing that's gonna happen to you short term, but in a month or a year or something like that, you look back on it and you're like, wow, I wouldn't be where I'm at now if it didn't happen. So I think a lot of people get these life lessons on the negative side of things. It just became really obvious when I looked at where I was today, and I'm very happy with where I am at today and the things that have happened in my life, and I look back and I say, holy shit, like I wouldn't be here if things happened differently. So I think if you ever take a step back, you know, once again, it's all about being content. If you're content with where you're at in life, then everything happened for a reason. If you're not content about where you're at in life, fucking change. Get to a point where you're content, and then everything would have happened for a reason.
If you had provided me your facts, we wouldn't know you had My Little Pony ass stamp.
That'll be my next tattoo. Yes, my
Okay,
stamp.
so truLOCAL, tell us a bit about it.
truLOCAL, oh.
And also,
shameless plug, yes.
Also,
Okay.
You talked about leadership
Yes.
and learned how to become.
Yes.
What was the biggest lesson and what was the biggest piece of leadership that you brought?
For sure. So for those of you that don't know, truLOCAL, we do all locally raised meat products: beef, chicken, pork, fish, elk, buffalo. The whole concept for us is that we're trying to connect people to local producers, local suppliers, local butchers. So if you're in Ontario, you're gonna get products from Ontario butchers and suppliers. If you're in Alberta, you're gonna get products from Alberta butchers and suppliers. Our whole thing is that we're trying to create a platform and a marketplace that lets people shop easier with these local producers. So, one thing that I really learned throughout this entire leadership thing is, first of all, there's a lot smarter people than I am, like significantly. Like pretty much my entire team is better at what they do than I am, and learning to take a back seat has made a huge difference. But also learning to being curious. I'm a really curious guy, so when someone tells me something that I don't agree with, I don't get mad anymore. Joffrey, you know, all hail King Joffrey. I get curious. I'm like, I want to hear more about it. Tell me, you know, explain it to me. Explain it to a way that I'm going to understand. And I think that's kind of the difference now, whereas back in the day, I thought my way was the highway. I think as a CEO, we've got almost 35 employees now across the country. And you need to make the decisions at the end of the day. And I've definitely gotten to a situation where you get into decision paralysis because you feel like you want to do the right thing, but you also want to give everyone a chance to talk. But then does that hurt the business even more because you're not making any decisions? It's a fine balance. But long story short, where I'm at today is that I'll let anybody speak on any idea. I love hearing different points of view. At the end of the day, then I kind of take all these different decisions and this information, try to make a decision based on that. So I think my leadership style has changed a little bit more in that sense. Yeah, hopefully that kind of answers. This will be a longer conversation.
One question over here.
Thank you so much for coming and speaking with us. I'm sure it wasn't easy to refer to yourself as Joffrey Baratheon, but you know you did it, so thank you.
Yeah.
I was wondering, so truLOCAL, what are some of the teething pains you've seen in your process as CEO of truLOCAL, and what are some of the comparisons you'd be able to draw back to your experience at TEL?
It never gets easier. Like, it never gets easier. There's nothing easy about any scale of your business. So, ironically, the same stresses I would have about, I don't know, I gotta think on the spot here, but the level of stress was actually the same in Tel as it was with truLOCAL. It's just your scale changes. It's not like, oh, I think a more relevant point is when we started truLOCAL versus where we're at now. When we started the business, we used to deliver all of our own boxes. So I would drive from London to Oshawa to deliver one box of meat to a customer, right? And the level of stress I had if I was late was like my mind was gonna explode. Well, today, let's say we lose financing from the 150th VC pitch that we're trying to do and things fall through at the last minute. That's shit, it sucks. But it's actually kind of the same level of stress. You just learned to keep it on the same spectrum. So I think that's kind of how a lot of challenges have changed. But one of the biggest things is that with Tel, everything was new. So learning how to reach out to the media was new. Running my first ad was new. That is the exact same as it is today. That's just on a bigger scale. So instead of trying to reach out to the media, maybe it's trying to reach out to, Andreessen Horowitz, a VC, some crazy VC, or trying to reach out to, trying to recruit talent, right, from the US or something like that. It could be anything. So I think that the stress stays on the same spectrum, but the similarities are things that you're always learning. You never have it all figured out. Like, it's always kind of a learning curve. So I think that's kind of the comparisons I would say.
Everybody, welcome Marc to Fuckup Alumni.